Yuke's is back again. Hey everybody, welcome to the channel. Today we're going to be talking about the AEW Games announcement where they just announced a couple of games. We're going to be specifically talking about the ones they announced for current gen consoles and next gen consoles, but they also announced a few others. They announced a GM mode mobile game, and they announced a casino game, and they announced a Pornhub shirt. That was kind of weird. I'm going to take you guys back to 2019 really quick, a time that was probably better for a lot of us. Myself, Tony Pizza Guy, and Marcus Stevenson. Tony Pizza Guy, of course, another YouTuber that you guys might know, and Marcus Stevenson, one of the former developers on SmackDown vs. Raw games and some of the WWE 2K games. We were launching a new brand called Deadlock, AEW All Out 2019. We were there with Brian Williams, one of the developers of Yuke's, and he was pitching to AEW the idea of working together with Yuke's. Now, fast forward to now, and look, AEW and Yuke's are working together. The idea of AEW and Yuke's working together is pretty simple. They want to take the idea of No Mercy with their simple but hard to master grappling system, and they want to add in the spontaneity of the SmackDown games. And as you guys know, Aki Corporation hasn't really been a thing for a long time. Well, they kind of have. They're Sin Sophia now, but they don't really make wrestling games anymore. They just make Idolmaster anime gacha games for your phone, which I can't blame them. I feel like Idolmaster gacha games on your phone probably make a lot of money. While the idea of making a new No Mercy style game is great, well, how are you going to do that if Aki doesn't exist anymore how it did, 20, 30 years ago? Well, somehow, Kenny Omega found Gaeta-san, who worked on No Mercy and Def Jam Vendetta, and got him on the team with AEW and Yuke's, which was one of the biggest surprises of this whole presentation. You can say and you can say and you can say that you want to make I want to make No Mercy, Here Comes the Pain, combination polymerization game of the year, but you have to be able to prove that you have some sort of grounding to make that happen. And somehow announcing the super team of Yuke's and Gaeta-san from Aki Corporation and AEW Games at the same time is definitely one way to do that. Of course, the game is still early in development. We knew that. That popped me so huge. That's set. The animations are so fluid, dude. This was so simple, yet so big for this game. So the first thing you're going to notice when you watch this right away is the art direction. It even caught me off guard a little bit because I didn't really know what to expect coming into this. I knew that Yuke's was working on the game, but I really didn't know what to expect. You can see where that kind of No Mercy influence came from when they kind of just took the sprites from that game and then they kind of made them look like a 2020 version of what they would look like back then. I think one of the biggest things from the Yuke's games of the past that used more of the, I don't want to use that word hyper-realistic graphics, but I will here because you know what I'm talking about when they use the realistic graphics. They took the characters and you could tell the difference between a created character and a regular character. You could really tell the difference between the two. And you could not only tell the difference between the two of those, but you could tell where they made a model and then, if they wanted to make another model with that character, they would kind of just take the model and then stick the hair on it. You guys remember Kurt Angle with the hair, or, anybody else ever? Undertaker was the one they did that to a lot. And I think this kind of art direction will allow them to create characters that look like they seamlessly integrate into the game, which is a plus. Like back in the day in No Mercy, you really couldn't tell the difference between a created character and an official character. They all just kind of blended together. And what's cool here is that everything is still full scale. You can still see the crowd here. The arena is huge. Everything is to scale. I think that's really nice. The animations between Jericho and Omega are incredible. I mean, if you just take a second to take a look at how fluid everything is and how even the small things shine through here, there's just a lot to like here. I mean, that really did look like how Jericho throws the Judas effect. And of course, having Hikaru Shida here fighting against Kenny Omega, confirming that you can fight with females and males together, is incredibly dope. And one of the things that Yuke's, I don't think, really ever got right, I mean, sometimes they would get it right, but most of the time it was a miss, was that the women's models just never looked too great. Compared to the men's models, I don't think they ever really got the same treatment, I guess, or maybe they just couldn't nail it or whatever the case may be. But this Hikaru Shida model might be one of the best looking Yuke's women's models they've ever made. You know, I was talking about the animations too. You see Hikaru Shida does the deal right here, gets up, goes into her gimmick, hits the ropes, but she hits the ropes like how she would in real life. And the little things like that are really what's going to set this apart. And Yuke's has the track record. They've done it before. We've seen it before 100,000 times with all those SmackDown games. The small intricacies of the moves, like the way that Brock would hit a suplex, or the way that The Rock would punch, or whatever the case may be. It's those small things that really make these games what they are. You give these characters personality. You want to make sure that they're separated from each other. You don't just want to do kick, kick, punch, punch, kick, kick. Everyone does the same thing, you know what I mean? You want those small intricacies. Like even the way Hikaru Shida hits the ropes is how she hits the ropes in real life. Like she hits them with both elbows back. And those are just small things that most people don't even care about, you know? In a wrestling match, you really don't ever think of the way people hit the ropes, but it adds to the individuality of the characters. A lot of wrestlers were trained different, you know? Most Joshi wrestlers were taught to put their elbows out and arms over the top ropes. I was not taught like that. I was taught to put my arm over the rope and hold the middle rope just in case it snaps. It's just small things like that to add to the personalities of the wrestlers. And I thought that was really cool when I saw her hit the ropes. I was like, oh, she hit the ropes like that. That's pretty neat. And from what the trailer shows us, there's going to be a lot of focus on that grapple system, which is fantastic. So obviously No Mercy is most known for its grappling system. You can pick it up, press some buttons, and you'll be able to figure out how to play in 5 minutes. But it's also incredibly deep, and it takes a while to learn how to do everything perfectly. And from the trailer, that looks like what they were going for with the grappling back and forth, being able to reverse each other, this and that. It's a very active style of gameplay. Like if you look at Yuke's and you look at Aki Corporation, their fundamentals were different. Yuke's was more about just the spontaneity, while Aki was more about creating a competitive gameplay environment. And being able to get Gaeta-san into this game to be able to work on this was a very big get for them. Do I think that this game's going to be exactly like No Mercy or exactly like the SmackDown games or exactly like Vendetta or whatever the case may be? No, I don't think that. I think they're going to make a modernized version of all this and to make it into one game. And if they were ever going to make a super game with all of these things, this is the chance they have. One of the biggest things that they're going to have to do is figure out the game modes. That's for true. Now, while No Mercy is well regarded for the gameplay, one of the biggest parts of No Mercy was the championship mode. You could go back and forth, do 100 different things, 100 different routes. You could lose, you could win. It changed based on if you won or you lost or whatever the case may be. And that was dope. If there's nothing actually there to bring you back to play the game, you're not going to be playing the game for more than just a little bit. So hopefully we get to see something about that sometime soon. I assume that this game probably won't release until next year sometime, probably later in the year if I had to guess. And I cannot imagine this game without a creation suite. One of No Mercy's biggest things was its creation suite. One of Yuke's SmackDown game stuff was a creation suite. Creation suites are kind of like the creme de la creme of wrestling games. At this point, it's just part of them. It's part of the culture. Being able to go into No Mercy and just make anybody from anywhere. Going into No Mercy and just having already set up characters that you could pretty much just make from the parts. Of course, Yuke's with their they just went crazy with it with their creation suite to the point where we were creating with facial textures and they just got crazy. If they can nail that into this game, bro, it's a wrap. Obviously, the idea of an Aki Corporation Yuke's super title has me very excited. I think a lot of people were probably thrown for a loop seeing the art direction, especially because we just had WWE 2K Battlegrounds be released. But seeing that Yuke's is working on it, seeing that they went out of their way to find and get Gaeta-san from No Mercy and DJV to be working in this game, I'm excited. If they can hit that active gameplay like No Mercy had, combined with the spontaneity of the SmackDown games and being able to do what you want and the freedom to create and be the wrestling that you want it to be, they got a super hit on their hands. I am all for wrestling games existing that are not just WWE games. I hope that this turns into a series and that this is super successful and it's everything we ever wanted, and I just want it to be good. So let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. Tell me what you thought about this whole reveal if you want to talk about the mobile game or anything else like that. We just talked about the console game because that's kind of what I'm most excited for, but there's some other cool stuff. The GM mode mobile game sounds pretty cool. I'll probably be playing that every once again, so that's pretty neat. Thank you guys so much for watching this. I hope that you guys did enjoy. Remember, if you did, leave that thumbs up, subscribe if you guys want to subscribe. Check you guys out next time. Have a good day, everybody. See you.